Why are they not interested in continuing to date you? This has happened a few times to me recently. As disrespectful as I think it is to ghost someone, especially if you've been dating them for a while. After having one too many of these situations, I do understand why some people do it. The last 2 dating situations I've been in, I told the other person I wasn't feeling it. In both cases, I was asked to elaborate on why I didn't feel it would work. Now, I've actually been someone before recently who's mostly been on the receiving end of rejections. And after getting one too many no spark/chemistry texts, I wish I could have gotten more honest feedback to potentially improve future dates. So in both these situations, I was respectfully honest about my reasoning. The first person I felt was too codependent/anxious/low confidence, and me constantly feeling like I had to walk on eggshells in fear of saying/doing the wrong thing to hurt his feelings turned me off. The second person was almost the exact opposite of the spectrum, too domineering/aggressive/combative. I felt like they would pick fights for little to no reason, and always had to have the loudest opinion regardless of how inappropriate the context. In both cases, I gave the reasoning and got major pushback, either by telling me why my assessment of them/the situation was wrong, or telling me my feelings about them were invalid. It was as if both these people thought they could negotiate attraction/compatibility on my end. The worst part, and why I'm writing this, is I told the first person I was down to be friends in the future. He texted me yesterday morning saying something funny, and I was going to respond to it later. Then, I was with my friends and got another text, "I guess you don't want to talk. I'll see ya," and decided then and there maybe a friendship isn't the best idea. Because I felt the codependent aspect hadn't gone away. If you ask for the honest truth, and they give it to you, you have to be able to accept it. Don't ask questions you don't want the answer to yet. Maybe your photos are too flattering, and you're less attractive IRL. Maybe you barely asked the other person about themselves. Maybe you're too needy/clingy and you need to work on your confidence. If you can't accept the actual answer, just accept the outcome and move on with your life. Then, the next day, I got a Facebook message from him just to make sure I had actually got his text and was choosing to ignore him. That's when I finally responded and told him I felt like he hadn't gotten over the situation, and the anxiousness/clinginess was a turn off as friends. He then went on this huge rant about how I could have been more courteous and responded how maybe I should think before going on multiple dates with someone and leading them on. How he thinks I never actually intended on being friends in the first place. How he still doesn't fully understand exactly the reason I'm not interested, etc. He went from passive to passive-aggressive/blaming real quick. And I spent the night trying to be gentle with my delivery and being fearful I'd set him off. This is often why people push the no chemistry/spark sometimes. That's genuinely what it is, but sometimes it actually is something you did that put off the other person, or made them realize you're incompatible. My 2 cents, it does not matter to me why they do not want to see me anymore. I just respect their wants and move on. Exactly. Why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you? Totally understand. Now if I was with someone for a long time and that happened, for sure I would like to know why. Even then, if they could not give me and nor won't to give me a reason, then move on, I say. Best thing you can do. I recently went through this in a harsh way and it hurts, but you have to press on. Because the sad reality for some people is needing to be in a relationship to feel validated. Same people never comfortable being by themselves. And it was very difficult in the beginning because after a couple of dates I would get attached too much. But like anything else, you learn from your mistakes. Why must it be a mistake, OP? Who knows what drives a person? People in that short of a time frame will rarely open up fully to anyone. I don't think you made a mistake. I think people will be people with their own particular needs and wants. I know overgeneralizing, however my point is I don't think it's your mistake at all. It's never that easy though. But it's nice that you understand boundaries. Disagree? Absolutely it is. Well, that's your own opinion and opinions are allowed to differ, right? Yes, except my opinion is right. Alright. I texted you though. I hope that's not an issue. This. If someone tells me they aren't interested in me anymore, I thank them for telling me and wish them luck and happiness. This. Also, if you need an assessment on what you can do better, you've already lost. Chemistry and compatibility isn't a reflection of your or the other person's shortcomings necessarily. Sometimes things just don't mesh the way you may have hoped for. Except that every example they've given in the last paragraph is something that you would benefit from having in number assessment pf/. You may be too clingy or didn't ask enough questions or less attractive than. Your photos are not confident enough or any other number of fixable problems. But you can't fix the problems if you don't know what they are. The relationship with the person you're asking may well be beyond salvage. But that doesn't mean the same issue won't magically not be a problem in the next one. Nobody is in a better position to tell me what went wrong than someone who had interest. Sounds like a person that isn't secure with themselves to me. Like I understand nobody is a picture-perfect version of themselves. But I also understand that just because one person didn't feel a connection with you, doesn't mean something is inherently wrong and that you need to fix. I'm not saying that there will always be a thing that needs to be fixed. Usually when I ask, the answer is something that can't or even shouldn't be fixed. But sometimes it is. I have a story that isn't quite a perfect match for the situation, but it's close enough for me. I was at a party and made a really crude joke. In retrospect, it was definitely too much for the atmosphere. I learned later from a friend that one of the girls who didn't yet know me thought I was attractive. Until she heard the joke. Soon afterwards she started dating a guy in my social circle, so we ended up both being at a good deal of gatherings throughout the following year and eventually became friends. She recently admitted that the same joke now would be well received. Because she knows my sense of humor is a lot darker and dirtier than the rest of my personality. So the conclusion? Tone down the intensity of my humor around new people. Even people who would find it funny if they knew me might be put off when they don't. But I wouldn't have realized that if I was never told about the cute girl who I had a really good chance with, until I made that joke. Exactly, I've learned to not be as open on the first date now and to learn to share more about myself over time. Too much info on the first date might be too much for the guy early on. I guess guys like a bit of mystery. Haha. Exactly. Self-improvement. Agree. This. It's not why they don't want to see me anymore, but if they want to see me again. Also, there isn't going to be a reason every time, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Totally agree. I went with this perspective last time someone told me that. Haven't been able to shake the thought of maybe I'm missing information for personal growth here. Feedback can be useful and I feel like I will hear them out from Mo on. Totally agree. I think there's a way to ask the question respectfully. I recently went on a date, and it seemed like everything was there. I got along better with her than I felt I had with any of the girls. I dated/talked to casually and better than the 2 girls I dated long term. Eventually she faded out, so after a while I just shot her a text and asked if there was something I may have done that was a turn-off, just so I could know how to improve in my dating game, and just because I was personally a little confused. However, I made it clear to her that she had no obligation to answer the question, and that I would just really appreciate some honest feedback. She answered and explained, and after I told her thank you for being honest and telling me what you felt, good luck, and that was that. That's awesome. I feel this. It's not an easy thing to feel, but I feel this. Especially for early in the dating process, I don't think it's beneficial for anyone to give the reason why you're breaking up. I think it's even more try if they don't have what you might consider red flags or flaws, and you're just incompatible or there isn't chemistry. Someone can be a perfectly fine person. I just don't want to date them anymore. I don't want them to change for me, or for their confidence to get hurt. I just want them to accept incompatibility and move on. Frankly, I think a lot of people are lying when they say they really want honesty. Most of the time it comes off as hurtful rather than constructive. Longer-term or more emotionally invested relationships definitely should end with more expressing your feelings, but even then, if you feel unsafe or think doing so would be unhelpful, I say just don't delve into details. I think when ending it with someone it's best just to be concise. Just say there's no chemistry, you're not in the right spot for a relationship, you don't see a future together, you're not happy. Something like that. And don't bullshit friends unless you honestly want to be friends with them. Not just as a way to ease out of it or something. Absolutely. Just to make this clear though, I did actually want to be friends with this guy. Until it was apparent he was still going to be needy/clingy even as friends. Yeah, it's pretty rare you can flip a relationship into a friendship, but not possible. Some guys consider a friendship with a lady to be more like a relationship in waiting or something. Like if they hang around you enough you'll eventually realize that he's actually great and totally fall for him. He'll eventually win you over with friendly gestures like good morning texts, and actually listening to what you have to say like a normal person. This is where the friend zone and nice guy syndrome come from. Honestly, men and women cannot be friends if either one of them are attracted to each other. It can be hard depending on the intensity of attraction, but I've had crushes on people I didn't know well that went away after we became friends. To be honest, now I cringe a little, lol. We definitely would not have worked. Nah mate, I respectfully disagree. I mean, what if you're bi? Are you not supposed to have attractive friends? LOL. This is not true. I was friend with a girl I was at first interested in. Met her on some dating app. She said she wasn't feeling it romantically and we hung out for a few months. Like text every once in a while, hang out every few weeks to catch up. It was entirely doable. I disagree. I would love to hear a reason from my ex-girlfriend of 3 years. Why she broke up and broke contact completely after that. The only thing I got was I'm just not happy. Don't get me wrong, I respected it and did not contact her since then. But it makes one quite insecure when you hear 1 week before that I love you so much, and then get cut out of her live like you are nothing. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, longer term relationships, or ones that have more emotional investment, should end with a legit talk about everything, give the whole thing some closure. I'm talking more about casual dating. Ah, okay, then I totally agree. Yes, one time as well, I was talking to a guy and one day he said that he was no longer interested in pursuing a relationship with me, but wanted me to rate the experience of talking to him. I gave him a low rating because I felt like he had been very pushy in our conversations, and he got annoyed. I am 5 out of 100. Unfortunately, people are going to take getting rejected in a dating context personally. Because it's as personal as it gets. You're basically rejecting a person because of who they are. And these triggers negative emotions in most people. Obviously, that's no excuse for them to be aggressive or mean in response. But it's important to have some empathy for what they're feeling. However, if you politely decline them and they won't leave you alone, the best thing to do is just block them to avoid having to interact further. Agree to disagree, honestly. I think a lot of people think it's personal or make it personal when often it's not. Think about all the people you walk by on a day-to-day basis, or all the people you might have had brief glances or conversations with, that you didn't have much interest in pursuing further interaction. This could be platonic or romantic interest. There's so many people that don't register to most of us, and to us it's not personal. But when we like someone who doesn't like us back, we believe it's personal. That the rejection is deep-rooted and that the other person has thought long and hard about all-out flaws. In reality, it's much less complicated. Most people I haven't been interested in, I've been neutral about. There might have been some things they did that annoyed me, but overall decent people. There just wasn't anything they did that put them into the positive zone with me, and made me feel we could build a deeper connection. I definitely see where you're coming from. I guess what I meant is that if someone likes you and you don't feel the same way, they're going to assume it's something wrong with them, and so they take it personally. Even though the reality might be like you said, where it's actually a neutral feeling. And you just don't have the chemistry, that's not how the other person will feel because the rejection is clouding their emotions. This is why it's taboo to ask someone this. They're not going to say something positive. So it's gonna be a hit to your ego, and many people can't handle that hit to their egos. So they get defensive or try to argue it. And this is why people resort to responding with something generic like "I just don't feel chemistry." For real, if you can get some closure, accept it and move forward and use it as constructive criticism. Of course, if it's something you can improve on. I never got the closure I asked for. It's a miserable feeling. So many men ruin it for others. Or they make the rest of us look way better in comparison. Sometimes it's just best to send the goodbye message and then block them. Rejection takes time to settle, especially in men. I've never stayed friends with someone I dated because it breeds resentment. Well, you don't need to look behind if you are rejected by the person who you have dated. No problem. It's a just piece of air. He or she might have a reason, but who cares? Let the person go. You will have a person matching with you. Thanks for watching my video.